Hello, hello. Welcome to this month's Ask Me Anything. So far, we only have one participant, and I have some questions that were sent in to me, which I love and I'm so grateful for, that I will address. Give it till the top of the hour, and then I will get started. And here we are. Going to give it a few more minutes to see if anybody else will pop on. We never know how many people will be joining us. I've had 2 and I've had 12. I'm going to say hello to you, my one participant, C. That's your name. You can put in the chat how you want to be spoken to or referred to. If you have any questions, I would love for you to speak up, unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, my name is Carolina. I am from Mexico.
Oh, very nice to meet you. How did you learn about me
Nice to
and
meet you too.
Promise?
I don't know. Maybe I was in a summit. I don't know what what's the name the summit was, but I do give us a conference, and I search your web, and I see that you help people with things. Well, that's the I don't know. I don't remember what summit was, but it makes me feel happy. Connected with you. I have anorexia nerviosa. My English is not very well, please.
I understand you. I understand you
But
do.
I'm 37 years old. My illness began since I was 18 years old. I have been 3 times in intern patch, but actually my problem is I have a lot of consequences of the illness. My body my weight is very low. My sodium is low. I can walk. I have osteoporosis, and I am with psychologist, and she told me that I have to eat, but I can't. Uh, um, I am doing intermittent fasting because I have a lot of problem with my gut, and I think that when I do intermittent fasting, I feel better. But I know that I shouldn't do it that because my calories are are very low, because I just eat between 12 and 6. And I'm very guilty, and I feel guilt about eating. The last week, I go to I went to urgency room because I feel very bad. I can sleep, I can stand, I can walk. It's pain all the day, and I don't know what to do because past I have nutritionist, I have internist, physician, that I should go to internship, or I don't know, that I should be internada. I should be intern again because all my illness. But because I don't have a lot of money. I can't go there and spend money because I don't have money to go there and stay 3 months and again. And my family just told me, you just need to eat whatever thing, and you will be fine. But my problem is that I don't do what the nutriologist or the psychologist told me. I was
It's a bad connection, Katerina. You're frozen. So I'm going to address what you shared with us so far.
I don't know why I I don't want to eat. It's an obsession. In this
Okay.
moment in my life, it's an obsession because
Yeah.
I can stop doing intermittent fasting. I can doing all the things that I know that I shouldn't do it. And my family told me you can only you don't need nutritionist, you don't need doctor, you don't need nothing. You just need to come to here to house and to live with us, and your mom should eat with you and she should give all the food.
Okay.
But I don't want to take off the control.
Oh, okay. I so understand what you're saying. And if you've read anything about me from my website, I was where you are at one point in my life. It has to start with your why. You said Katerina, correct? Katerina is your name? You froze again. So it has to start with your why. It all has to start with story. And after story, we look at biology. So how is your lack of nutrition affecting the way you're thinking? So, there's something to be said for that as well. The control, that's all part of your story. So if you're seeing a therapist, that's a wonderful idea. I'm going to encourage you to look on my website. I have a wonderful self-study course there that takes you through my own story and my own healing. And there's a workbook, there are handouts, there are action steps, and I'm with you every step of the way for 8 weeks. So I would recommend you look at that, and then we can, talk further. Or you can also schedule a complimentary call with me, and I can go through a lot of different ways that you can get support. But I hear you, I feel you, I understand the obsession, I understand the not wanting to eat, I understand the need for control. It's not about the food, and that's what people a lot of times don't understand. It's not about just eat. It's not about why can't you eat.
Okay.
It's about the root cause of what's going on. Yes, and of course you have gut issues. You're going to have gut issues because your microbiome, the environment within, is totally disrupted by your lack of nutrition.
Okay.
So you want to improve the gut, which is very important. And depending on what you're eating in that 6-hour window, that can also impact your gut and how you're thinking and how you're feeling. So it's not
Yes.
about food, it's about your why. And there is help for you there, but it's not just about eat.
I know, but my family don't understand that.
Well,
They just say you could be in 3 months. If you come home, you can be in 3 months, you will be okay. I know my health is very compromised because I can stand, I can walk, I don't have energy. My mind is always thinking about food.
of course.
And I know what I have to do. I know perfect what I know to do, but I don't do it that.
Well,
And
do you want to get well, Katerina?
yes, I want, but sometimes I have to be honest. Sometimes I'm say I don't know if I want to be okay, because my father told me, if you were to be okay, or if you were, or if I like to be okay, you will do that. You will be that. But I don't do. My father told me, maybe it's because you don't want to be okay. And sometimes I say, maybe I don't want, because if I want it, I will do it that. And I don't do it, nothing.
Well, there's a fear there, right? These behaviors, your behavior with food, turning away from it, has served a purpose for you. It's helped you navigate a world that you felt you needed to control for whatever reason. And, you know, this isn't the platform for that right now. But for whatever reason, you decided that this was how you needed to self-soothe, how you needed to navigate a world that you don't feel safe in, that you don't feel you have control over. So then the question becomes, who will I be without this behavior?
Yes.
Because as uncomfortable as the behavior is, and as unhealthy as the behavior is, you're surviving. You're getting through.
Yes.
So that's where the support is important. The support is important to help you navigate and to help you learn to feel safe again, and to help you see what you can control, help you control what you can, and most importantly, help you let go of what you cannot. Once you see that what you cannot control is not serving you, you need to let go of it. That's true transformation. I tell my clients, true transformation, what's transformation? That inner shift, right? That inner shift is less about what you do to change and more about what you let go of in order to become the change.
Okay.
Okay, there's a difference between doing recovery and being recovered. Doing recovery is going through the motions, right? Going to your appointments, going to the doctor, getting weighed, following a meal plan, meeting with a nutritionist, going to your psychology appointments or psychiatrist appointments, whoever you're seeing, getting on a scale, having your vitals checked. That's doing recovery. Being recovered is desiring it. The desire has to be bigger than the fear of who will I be without these behaviors. It's learning to value yourself. It's learning to find your enough. It's learning how to deal with stress, manage your triggers. It's learning about trusting your hunger, knowing that you can stop eating when you've had enough. It's about bringing mindfulness to the table. It's about moving in a way that honors your body, as opposed to punishing it in the gym in an effort to make it go away. It's about eating whole foods as often as you can, not products disguised as food. And it's about making sure you surround yourself with what truly nourishes you. And what truly nourishes us, Katerina, we never find in the kitchen.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Right. What truly nourishes us is our relationships. Most importantly, our relationship with ourselves. Our relationship with ourselves is reflected in our relationship to everything else that we do and feel.
Okay.
Okay.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah, so
Your
we'll
words
talk
are very
more.
beautiful.
We'll keep talking more. You stay in touch. I'm thrilled you're here. I'm thrilled
Okay.
you're here. I want to just take a minute and before I go to Menzel and just share with you a question that Myrna wrote in. Myrna is very often with us and couldn't make it today. She writes, and I'm going to read what she wrote.
Okay.
She's talking about her daughter who's visiting today. She's doing much better with food choices and mentally better as well. Her boyfriend, however, has a host of unaddressed gut issues, the least of which presents as jaundice of his eyes. Needless to say, his food choices impact her when they're together. She's a people pleaser and in turn will sabotage herself when they're together. She can't help him help himself. He ignores his symptoms, his need for energy drinks and sugar, and says he's fine. So her question is there a way to help the ones we care about to care enough about themselves? Katerina, this is interesting for you. And how do you enjoy together time without being annoying on one hand and also being influenced to make poor choices? Oh, Myrna, this is a loaded question. First of all, does your daughter's boyfriend truly think he's fine? Or is he just in denial and practicing avoidant behavior? Jaundice of his eyes could indicate issue with his liver. The other symptoms that you describe, the explosive bowels, the flatulence, all gut health. Gut is related to liver, liver is related to gut. The need for energy drinks and sugar can be not only about nutrition, but about neurotransmitters. So it has to start with him, and you know that, unfortunately. So is there a way to help the one we care about to care enough about themselves? That's about worthiness. That comes down to helping your daughter's boyfriend recognize that he is worthy of being well, that he is a gift to the universe, and his desire to be, as I shared with Katerina before, the desire has to be bigger than the fear. Desire has to be bigger than the fear of letting go of behaviors that are self-destructive. And how do you enjoy time together without being annoying on one hand? I understand that it's hard because you want to convey to the person that you care about that their behaviors are self-destructive and sabotaging. But unfortunately, these are lessons that we need to learn for ourselves. It's, again, like I said to Katerina, it's less about what we do and more about what we let go of. So where are these behaviors coming from? Where is this need to abuse himself coming from? That would be my first area and avenue for explanation. Being influenced to make poor choices, that's your daughter recognizing her value and who she wants to be. What's the best version of herself? And if she brings her best version of herself to this relationship, perhaps she can be a power of example. I hope that helps. We'll continue this conversation. Please understand that without your give and take and your responses to my responses, it's hard for me to put this in a neat little package for you. But I hope that this opens up some roots of conversation for us next month. And you can always reach out to me with further questions, Myrna. Thank you. I so appreciate you wanting to be here with us today. Before I go to the second question, Menzel, do you have a question for me? This is an international call today. Katerina, you're in Mexico. Menzel's in Israel.
Wow, we are very international.
Yes, yes, yes. Menzel, how are you, dear?
Israel, wow.
Maybe Menzel doesn't want to talk. That's okay. We can just listen. So the second question that was sent in to me, well, it's actually words of encouragement. Katerina, this you might relate to as well.
Okay.
Her Bren writes, it's very interesting to watch how the taste buds and palate changes. Folks, and she puts in parentheses, erroneously think that the cravings, etc., can't change or it's too much for them. Okay, well, that's not true. And she writes, thank you for your encouragement and also encouraging to go the distance for health, if nothing else. It's interesting what she writes. Cravings are messages that our bodies send to us. And Katerina, I want to direct this to you too, because very often we develop cravings. They're our body's way of sending us messages, right? Of what we are deficient in, if we're craving specific foods, if we're craving salt, if we're craving sweet. But sometimes the cravings have nothing to do with food. Sometimes we need comfort. Sometimes we're craving companionship. Sometimes we're craving needing to express ourselves. And very often we were taught as little ones, first thing we were taught as humans was that food is our first sense of communication with the outside world. It's our first experience with being heard, with being nurtured, with being held and seen before we even know what it is to feel anything. So very often our cravings take over and it has nothing to do with food. But let's talk physiology. Sometimes let's use sugar as an example, because that's the biggest one I hear. I crave sugar. I'm a sugar addict. I hear that all the time.
Yes.
Okay. The concept of food addiction is either totally disregarded or totally revered. I am in the middle somewhere. I do believe that highly industrialized manufactured foods can create a desire for us to not be able to eat just one because of the chemicalization. These are products disguised as food. It's not really food, right? So they're going to turn on the feel-good part of our brain, the dopamine and endorphin part of our brain. And we don't need science to tell us that whatever makes us feel good and turns on the reward center is going to make us want to repeat the behavior. So that's one thing. But I can tell you from clinical and personal experience that when you make conscious choices not to eat the food that isn't serving you, because it's not making you feel your best. You know, I always say it doesn't mean you're restricting. You're choosing to eat what serves you. You're choosing not to eat what doesn't. The cravings go away. I could share with you, I will never forget this. I was pregnant with my first daughter. This was back in 1977. And she was due in November. So I was pregnant from February on, and Easter came. And I loved jelly beans. I tell you that I could eat an entire bag, a pound or 2 pound bag of Brock's jelly beans in one sitting. Well, I stopped eating sugar a little while. Well, I should say more than a little while, years after, especially when I was going through my own recovery from compulsive overeating and restrictive eating, because I realized that the sugar was not helping me to feel better. It was causing mood swings. It was causing blood sugar irregularities. I was basically feeding my anxiety. The last time I had a jelly bean, you know what? I ate 2. And that was it. I didn't need it. So the palate does change. The taste buds do change. It starts with mindset. It starts with shifting from that mindset of scarcity. I've got to eat it all because I don't trust myself, or it's forbidden, I can't have it, to that mindset of abundance. I can choose not to eat what doesn't serve me. I can stop when I've had enough. I can trust my hunger. I can trust my fullness. I can trust my satiety. There's a difference between fullness and satiety, right? Full is a full belly. Satiety is up here. It's always satisfied.
Yes, but I have a question. How can I trust my society,
Satiety.
satiety or fullness? Because I don't know, I don't know when is when I have hungry or not.
Yeah.
And I have read that when you are in the beginning of the recovery, you should eat at certain you should eat at certain times of the day. For example, that your nutritionist give you a plan and a schedule, and you should eat you have hungry, or you are hungry, or you are not hungry, you should eat the meal plan. But I can't do that because
Okay.
I don't know how can I, or how I will know when I have hungry, what is hungry, what should I do. I should follow the instruction of my nutriologist, or what I have to do, because
Okay.
I'm very confused.
Okay. Couple of things that you need to know. Anorexia nervosa impacts your hunger hormones, right? You have two hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin lets you know when you're hungry. Leptin lets you know when you're full. Now, this is like a chicken or an egg thing. We don't know what came first. If you're predisposed to have dysregulated hunger hormones, that leads to anorexia, or if the anorexia leads to the dysregulation of the hunger hormones. But that's why to eat on scheduled times, it's very important to basically wake up your hunger hormones. The other piece of this, and this is very important, most people who struggle with eating challenges, whether they're restrictive eaters or overeaters, have a disconnect from their bodies. So they don't know when they are full. They don't understand. And very often, if you've been restricting, you've been denying your hunger.
Yes.
If you're an overeater, then very often you are afraid of your hunger because you don't trust yourself that you'll be able to stop. So it's a very multifaceted concept. And of course, we can continue to speak about it, but that's basically what the premise is, Katerina, for eating on time. It's very important that you eat on time. And I am, excuse me, if you know anything about me and my philosophy, I am not a proponent of all foods fit, which is the conventional philosophy behind eating disorder recovery, that in order to be recovered, you have to be willing to eat everything. You cannot eat everything if you have gut imbalances. Your body can't handle certain foods. So that's why one of the first things that I do with my clients is help them connect to how certain foods make them feel.
Yes.
We
I
have
understand.
safe, we have foods that are yes, no, and maybe.
Yes, I have been in my own experience, because I have prove, or I have take sometimes the paleo diet, or some things, or the different things, because maybe they told me you should eat oats, but my gut is not very well, and I can digest very well oats, or apple, for example, but I can do with papaya or another food. It's for example.
Right, yeah, exactly. And that's the way it should be. And again, I'm going to say that if you're choosing not to eat something in recovery, not talking about restricting and being actively anorexic, I'm talking about it once you're in recovery and you discover the apple, the oats, make you feel unwell. By you choosing not to eat them does not mean you're restricting apples or oats. It means you're choosing wellness. And that's very empowering. And that's a very important part of healing. We need to feel empowered. We need to feel connected to the beautiful wisdom of our bodies. Now, part of the why is to explore the reason behind the disconnect. But that's the work to do with your psychologist or coach, or somebody who you're going to for support.
Yes, yes, thank you.
You're
But I
welcome.
think in my case, in the first phase, or the phase, and the first, and in the beginning, it's difficult to distinguish between it's okay to eat that, or it's because I have a scare of that food, or I don't know if it's I am hungry, or it's because I am not hungry because I am restricting. I think in the recovery is difficult to distinguish between them. But how you told me, I should eat in a schedule, in a schedule to regulate my
Hunger hormones.
anxiety or hormones and everything. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're getting the right support, you can have meal support, you know, talk through the meal. Work with somebody who can sit with you while you're eating, whether it be in person or virtual, and discuss what's going on for you and how you feel about the food. And then report back even the next day or 2 days later, because sometimes it takes 48, 72 hours for our bodies to react to the food we eat, right? It just as important as the food we're eating is what our bodies are doing with the food we're eating. That's the
Okay.
principle behind functional medicine nutrition. What our bodies are doing with the food we're eating. Two people could be eating the identical diet,
Yes.
and one person's body doesn't necessarily agree that it's the healthiest for them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Understand.
sometimes we have to follow a therapeutic protocol to get us through the difficult time until we restore balance again.
Okay, I understand.
Good. Cheryl, hi. I ask you to unmute.
Sorry,
Hi.
I'm late. I didn't realize it was that late. I was on another Zoom call and
Not
trying
a
to find
problem.
out about my stomach issues, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm late for what I wanted to listen to.
Okay, so how can I help you?
Well, I'm just mainly here to listen, and I guess I can add some things since I was on the last time. I've discovered a few things that have helped me. I realize that when I start letting go of a lot of things that were really bothering me, I began to not be so hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I realized I listened to somebody on YouTube. I can't remember his name, but it was a carb addiction doctor. And he kept saying about, because I love carbs because they just comfort me and they make me feel better. You know, they seem to settle my stomach down, and I think it's just psychological anyway. But he said over and over again, are you eating for nutritional value or are you eating for emotional value? And I thought, wow, I'm eating for emotions. That's what I'm doing. And so I've paid better attention to that. And I'm doing much better because I'm letting go of things that I didn't want to set boundaries around at all. And I'm putting myself out there to people that I was kind of afraid to. I'm not very trustworthy of people. And so I'm doing new things that are different to me, but they've helped me, I think, you know.
That's wonderful. Bravo.
Hopefully get on the right track.
Let me ask you a question about the emotional hunger, because I'm not sure if we discussed this last month, but you know, I say that there are 2 or 3, well, in a perfect world, there'd be 3 kinds of emotional hunger. So, but the 2 that have the negative connotations would be eating in response to an emotionally charged situation, right?
Right.
So that would be coming home from a bad day and devouring a bag or a carton of whatever. Or eating in an effort not to feel emotion, right? Eating to check out, eating to numb, eating to avoid feeling.
Right.
There's a distinction. Now, very often, the first scenario, the eating in response to an emotionally charged situation, will lead to being void of emotion, right? I don't know if you've experienced that. That would be a binge.
Yes.
Okay, but what I was talking about in the perfect world, a third kind of emotion, a third kind of emotional eating would be bringing emotion to the table, allowing ourselves to experience the meal, allowing ourselves to feel joy at the table, allowing ourselves not to fear carbs, allowing ourselves to not to
Yeah,
fear.
that's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I think I was doing because I have a lot of food fear.
Do you? Like what? Give me an example.
Well, I've had cancer and I was on macrobiotics after cancer,
Mhm.
and all they talked about was don't eat this, don't do this, be afraid of that and everything else. And then I was on the GAPS diet and I ended up in the hospital from that.
Really?
Yeah,
What
I
happened?
my lungs filled up with fluid from the dairy,
Ah,
and I guess I was very allergic to it, and so they told me no gluten and no dairy, and I've been much better since then. But
good.
I am very sensitive to a lot of foods, and I'm mad about that. Number one, because I just feel, and I'm the type of person I think that because I'm mad and rebellious that if I want something, I'm just going to eat the whole thing,
Yeah,
you know.
I get it. I hear you.
And then I'm fearful that I ate the whole thing.
Yeah, and that sets a whole cascade of emotion, and then
Yeah,
you're in the stress response, right?
and it's just ridiculous. And I feel like I have no control. Like I feel like I have no control over the food or anything in my life at all.
Well,
And it's overwhelming to me. I get so overwhelmed that I just sit and eat, and then I'm overwhelmed by how much I've
yeah,
eaten and how much I've decided. I mean, everything is just so overwhelming to me right at this point. I've had a lot of issues with it, and I'm
with the
working on
overwhelm.
that.
Yeah. Okay, but you, first of all, thank you for being here, and thank you for caring enough about yourself for investing the time. You said that you feel that you have a problem with carbs.
Yeah,
Are carbs a forbidden food for you?
well, I think so because, of course, with macrobiotics, it was rice and stuff
Right.
like that, but it was no sweets or fruits or, I mean, it was very restrictive.
Yes.
Everything I've done has been restrict this, do this, restrict that. My childhood was
Yeah.
restricted,
Yeah.
everything is restricted. And I think it's just, okay, the one thing that I don't have to be restricted about is food.
Yeah, Cheryl, when I work with a client, one of the first things that we talk about is eliminating toxic and inflammatory thoughts, right?
Right,
Most nutritionists talk about removing inflammatory and toxic foods,
food,
but it's those inflammatory thoughts and beliefs that are driving you to the inflammatory food. So
right.
that's number one. But then we look at where you're deficient, you're deficient. Now, that could be nutritional deficiency, but it could also be where you're feeling deficient in your life,
Yeah,
right? So you were talking about things that you had to let go of. You were talking about lack of boundaries, right? That creates deficiencies, as you well know. So
right.
congratulations for setting the boundaries, and this is hard work. It's really hard work, and I congratulate you and really applaud you for recognizing your why, for recognizing the deficiencies and the discipline that you had to show throughout your whole life. And then you get a diagnosis like cancer, where you feel like your whole world is being taken away from you.
Yeah,
And on top of that, your treatment protocols are telling you, eat this, don't eat that, do this, don't do that. So it's very dehumanizing, and it's demoralizing, and it's disempowering. So how are we going to re-empower you?
well, I have to find something that's sustaining for myself. And what's sustaining for myself, I decided was I can't be on a specific diet until I detox my emotional issues.
Yeah,
And I
and
needed to
and
do
and can
that.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but you said something about gut issues. Cleaning up your gut is one of the most important first steps along the way of cleaning up your emotional issues.
Right.
The gut-brain connection is a bi-directional pathway. You know, serotonin, most serotonin is produced in the gut. Serotonin is that feel-good chemical. So we need to address gut health. The other thing I wanted to share with you is you said you have a lot of issues with food sensitivities. That also comes from a gut imbalance.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Right? If you've got leaky gut, well, you understand
Mhm.
what leaky gut is, right? I explained that, I think, last
Yeah.
time. Right? So if you have leaky gut, food that is supposed to be ending up in your large intestine and then in the toilet is seeping from your stomach into your bloodstream. The immune system wakes up, it does what it's supposed to do, it recognizes a foreign invader, and it creates symptoms, and hence food sensitivities. If you clean up your gut, you're not going to have the food sensitivities. If you clean up the gut, you're going to improve your mental state.
Right.
So it really has to start there.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do, is just stick with a few foods that I know fit for me and not get a huge amount of array of foods, because then I just get carried away. And so that's what I've been doing, is doing that, and seems to, and I've also bought some glutamine, and that has helped too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you're doing for your gut.
And I just did a Zoom call from Mast Cell 360. I like her a lot, and she talks about holozyme enzymes and butyric acid and how what it does to the gut, and how you
And
can
it
heal
helps
the
build
gut
up
that way.
short chain fatty acids as well, which is
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to see if I can work on that, because I have an allergies. I have an appointment with an allergist, but I've had to wait a whole year to get in. And so, because I'm so allergic to everything. If I eat one thing that doesn't agree with me, I can gain 10 pounds overnight really easily.
Wow.
And so,
That
Me
might
too.
not show up as an allergy though, a food sensitivity is not going to show up in the allergist's office though.
yeah, I don't know what it is. I have hives. I've had a lot of skin issues, eruptions and issues, and I don't know. It's
But that
just
could also be from the gut dysbiosis,
right,
the skin issues. Remember, skin is the largest organ in our body.
right.
So what's going on in the inside is going to show on our skin.
Yeah,
But continued with the work, with the boundary setting. Essential oils are very good for emotional balance, if you can get into that. Breath work is very wonderful too, to keep you
yeah. I do
calm.
some heart math, breathing,
Oh, fabulous.
hand on my heart, and do that, and
Love that. That's great.
It's helped. I do tapping.
Good. Oh, yeah, you're a
So
pro.
not really, but I'm trying. I do explore a lot of things to see what would work, because hey, if you have some tools in the toolbox, it helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I'm also going to suggest to you, and this is certainly, I don't mean for this to be a sales call at all, but to look at the self-study courses on my website. I have one that's only 3 modules, very digestible. It's called, and this might be very good for you, it's called Beyond Food.
okay.
Beyond Food, Conquering the World of Hidden Triggers. And it's only 3 very easy to digest modules. There's a workbook included, and it talks about your why you have the relationship with food that you have, what happens in the body that contributes to or is a result of those eating challenges. So it gets into the whole gut brain, it gets into neurotransmitters, it gets into all of that. So I'm bringing that functional medicine piece in to the disordered eating piece. And then finally, how to stop the sabotage and how to find sustainable healing. And you get a fabulous workbook with it. And it's only, I think it's very well priced, very affordable. And I think that could be really, really helpful for you. It's on my website. If you go to my website, thefreedompromise.com, and you go to work with me, and you scroll down, you'll see Beyond Food, and you can read about it. If you click on the learn more, you can read all about it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you might find that to be very helpful, and you can always arrange for a complimentary call with me, and we can talk about other ways you can be supported. But this course is great. I put a lot into it. It took me years to write, and I made it extremely affordable so that more people could take advantage of it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll look into it, and when I can afford it, I'm definitely, trying to better myself any way I can. Sometimes the money is a big issue for me, but I work towards affording things when I know that it's something that will help me. So thank you.
You're very well.
I
Look,
appreciate
we
that,
all-
and thanks for putting that out there for people to have, because it's terrible.
Well, I understand that not everybody, has the time or the inclination or the finances to work with me one-on-one. So I
Right.
put my work out there. That's why I offer this call every month for no charge. Because
Well, I appreciate it because it does help. It just helps to connect with somebody, to know that you're trying, and that to find out what is going on and things that are out there that might be helpful, because sometimes it just feels like you're on an island by yourself and you can't figure it out. And so I
Wow.
really appreciate your
Yeah.
help. Thank you.
if you're a part of this community, you're never on an island by yourself.
Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Are you a member of the Facebook group?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because
I don't go on Facebook too much. I check it out every so often.
yeah,
but
because it's not a very engaged group. I wish it was more engaged, but you can always throw a question in there, Cheryl, and I get notified and I will answer you immediately.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Thanks
Yeah.
for your help. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. I have your book.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, I bought that right away.
Okay. Have you read it?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
It's a work in progress
Yeah.
because I've had my grandson living with me.
Yes, I remember you telling me. Yeah.
I just all of a sudden got him, and that
Yeah.
was a real it was very hard for me. I ended up having to take him back to his mother, and
You did.
it was tough. It was, now I have my other grandson. He's not living with me, but I'm having to be responsible to take him to appointments, and it's been kind of overwhelming for me, to have to do things and so on. So I'm doing the best I can, but it's a learning process for me.
You
for
are
sure.
doing the best you can, and you're doing a great job. And just remember something. On any given day, our best is going to look different.
Right, that's true. That's
Right?
very true.
On any given day. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements.
I have
yes,
that.
it's
I
very
have
well.
that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's and the fourth agreement is do your best. And he explains that on any
right.
given day, your best is going to look different. And what are the other agreements? Words matter, how we speak to ourselves.
Right.
Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally.
Right.
And they're hard lessons. It sounds easy, right? But it's all about setting boundaries.
It is. It is.
And how we value ourselves and how we honor ourselves.
And I think that's been my biggest thing, is I don't value myself and I don't honor myself that much, because I'm just like a person that will do anything for anybody, and put myself on the back burner. And so I'm learning not to do that anymore. And
You're a nurturer.
Yeah, I am.
And nurturers put ourselves last.
Yeah.
Right. And
right.
Yeah. And so a lot of your symptoms are a result of that.
Right.
But you could still do for others and be loving and giving as long and take care of yourself as well.
Well, I found by by even stepping back, especially with my mentally ill son, I've stepped way back with him. And I found that he was pretty mad at first,
Mhm.
but he's respecting it. And like you say, being careful what I say and what I do, it's helped me. It's really helped me to
Good.
set boundaries and to put myself in a better frame of mind. So,
Good. And sometimes not saying anything is the wise thing to do.
right, because I'm a trigger to him a lot of times. And I told him that. I said, I don't want to be a trigger for you anymore. And I just feel like just by not saying anything, you know, I still love you, but
Right.
let's take a break.
And if our words aren't going to change the situation, there's no
Right.
point in speaking them.
Right,
It's where the acceptance comes in,
right,
right?
Right.
Like Katerina, I was referring to you before, you know, learning to control what you can and learning to let go of what cannot be controlled
right,
is the biggest part of recovery. And recovery from anything, recovery from a codependent relationship, recovering from an addiction, recovering from a bad relationship with food. You know, the definition of recovery is to regain what was lost or taken. So, you know, can recover a pen, can recover a set of keys.
right,
We've got to recover our relationship to ourselves. Recovery from anything, whether it's a physical illness or a mental illness or an addiction, is all about that relationship to ourselves. As I said before, relationship to ourselves is reflected in our relationship to everything else. How we
Yeah.
deal with people, how we deal with food, how we deal with sleep, how we deal with our bodies, how we deal with our health in general.
Yeah, I've even noticed just trying to take time for myself, I felt guilty about it. It's
Yeah.
been a real learning
Yeah.
experience for
And you
me.
know what, Cheryl? It's a generational thing too.
Yeah, I was taught to help everybody, and
Yeah.
that's the way I was brought up.
You know, and I mean, I don't know how old you are. I'm in a few weeks gonna be 69 years old, and I was
I'm
taught, you know,
71.
okay, so we're the same generation. Get through it. Just get through it. You know,
Yeah,
just do it. Get over it. Right?
yeah.
Don't cry, or I'll give you a reason to cry.
No, we never could cry or do
Exactly.
anything like that.
Right.
You had
So
to do what you were told to do, and that was it.
yeah. So you
And
know,
with food too, we
oh,
had,
for sure. For sure.
and
And what those messages do is that, and I say this in my book, is that they teach us that we can't trust what our bodies inherently tell us, right? If we're
right,
forced to eat all the food on our plate because there are children starving somewhere, or our mothers worked so hard to get the food on the table, or our fathers worked so hard to buy the food, so we have to finish it even though we're not hungry for it, we're taught that we can't trust our hunger.
right.
Right? If we're told, don't cry, or you're too sensitive, what it means is the person who is telling us this can't deal with our emotions, which means they probably can't deal with their own. So it's about looking
It's
at our
true.
messages that we got and understanding them, finding acceptance for them. But not only that, true acceptance brings compassion.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very true. Very
Yeah.
true.
So if we can find compassion for those messages, it's easier to forgive them. And if we can forgive them, we can let them go. And that's how we get to the other side.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You've said some pretty deep things. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for inspiring me. I have to say, I love these calls. They're really, I do love them.
Well, I think they've been the most helpful for me of anything
Oh,
I've tried.
that it means so
Because,
much to me.
well, I really appreciate it because it is difficult. You know, it's very difficult when you get busy and overwhelmed, and when you're by yourself and you get older and your health starts to deteriorate. It's
Yeah.
difficult to get yourself back on track. And a lot of my problem has been having not a lot of money to put out there to help myself. And so, and I think the health system right now is pretty collapsed. And so
Yes, I understand that.
And so
Yeah.
it's been trying, really trying and overwhelming, and I really appreciate any insight. I grab onto things that people say, and I use
Right.
that to tell myself every day because I think it's important to do that.
I think so too. So don't forget, put your questions, concerns in the Facebook group, and we can start a dialogue. You never know who else we're going to be helping too.
Oh, okay.
You know, also say, even, you know, if you're on a support call like this, and even if you're not speaking or you're not the one being supported, you always learn something. You know, you can always
Yeah, you
relate,
do.
you know,
Even if it's derogatory, I've learned something.
well, yeah, but you know, even Katerina, even, you know, if we're talking about binge eating, say, there's
Mhm.
something about that that you can relate to. I'll share a story with you about that. When I was at my lowest weight, my most dangerous weight possible, my husband introduced me to a woman who had her own eating struggles, but she was morbidly obese. You know, so
Mm.
much so that she had trouble walking. And we went out for dinner. And we were talking about our challenges and our struggles with food. Now, I had trouble eating. She had trouble not eating. My husband said that if he closed his eyes and he listened, he wouldn't have known which one of us was painfully thin and which one of us was
Oh, yeah,
painfully
because they're the
overweight.
same thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's that disconnect
Because
from,
I've been anorexic, I've been bulimic, I've had binge eating, I've
right.
done it all.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
that
all the same
disconnect.
thing.
It's the disconnect from the body. The only thing
Yep,
that's different about it is the behavior.
yep.
It's how it manifests. All right. So the behavior is a symptom. That's what I want you to understand. The behaviors, the eating challenges are symptoms. They're not the problems. And this is really important, Katerina, for you to hear from me because this is the first time you're on this call. The eating disorder is not the problem. The eating disorder is a solution to what you interpret as a problem. And it's a
Mm.
brilliant solution because it's gotten you to this point. You've survived. You're not thriving anymore. And there are now consequences to your health. So it's got to stop. It's not working anymore. We've got to find a better way. But I want you to understand that just not eating is not the problem. Not eating is the symptom that is helping you navigate this world that you don't feel safe in. That's the problem.
I think it's all about control, don't you think? It's all
Well,
about,
yeah, but it's about,
Control,
it's
care.
control and it's fear. It's
yeah,
fear. It's fear. It's fear turned inward. It's not understanding. Cheryl, I don't know if you're on the call before when we were talking, I was talking to Katerina about this very fact that the eating disorder is not the problem, but it's behavior that has helped her get to this point in her life and navigate her world. So then there's the fear of who will I be without it?
right.
Right? So, I mean, let's even apply that to binge eating. You have a horrible day, you come home, you're finally sitting and relaxing in the evening, and you're eating an exorbitant amount of food in a very short time, typically, right, definition of a binge. And you're doing so in an effort not to feel feelings that are so uncomfortable or probably intolerable, right? So in that moment, you're feeling better
Right.
because you're not in pain. And very often, the pain inflicted upon you by the pains of starvation, the pains of overeating, the gut issues, that pain very often is easier to tolerate than the pain of what it is you don't want to feel,
Right.
or so you think.
Yes, yes, I feel in the same situation. And
Yeah.
how can you let go the fear and do the things that you know that it's okay for you, that you are not sabotaging you and you are not hurt yourself, because
Well, you
I'm
have
very
to,
scared. I'm very scared of
of
doing
course,
the
but
things that I have to do.
you have to start trusting yourself, and you have to work with somebody who can support you through the action.
Okay.
Right? You don't have to take action by yourself. You need to find a coach or a mentor or a therapist or somebody that you trust
Okay.
who can explore your story with you, help you understand the why, help you connect to your body. And if you have trouble connecting to your body, helping you understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we just have to do it afraid.
Okay.
But when we're not alone, it's easier.
Yes.
There's a lot of us out there like this, but we need to connect with each other.
Yes, we do. We do. So it's, look, it's the top of the hour. I want to be respectful of your time. So I so thank you for being with me today. And I look forward to seeing you next month and in the Facebook group.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you,
It was nice
Mandy.
meeting you, Katerina. Is
Nice
that
to
your
meet
name,
you, Carolyn.
Katerina? Katerina?
Carolina.
Carolina. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Carolina. It
Carolina.
was nice
Okay.
meeting you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank
Mandy.
you. Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing your history. I feel very in touch with you because I have a lot of sensitivities, or I don't know what to eat because all it's cause blood, gassy, and I don't feel
Yeah,
very
me
well.
too. Me
I feel
too.
very bad, and I am so scared about foods. Not just because my mental illness, but it's because the reaction that food give me.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
And
we think food has to be rationed in order to feel good.
No,
yes, I know that.
we're going to heal your gut, Carolina. We're gonna
Yes, I
heal
need
your
to
gut.
heal my gut.
Stick with
I-
us. Have a great rest of the day, ladies. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
Mandy.
Mindy. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Bye.
so much. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Cheryl.